It may surprise you, but at Cycling Plus we don't actually have our own wind tunnel. However, that hasn't stopped us getting 6 of the best aero bikes together and putting them through their paces. We want to find out if having an aero bike these days means you can go fast and be comfortable. One of the first companies to incorporate aerodynamics into road bikes, Felt's AR3 sits in the middle of its second generation AR range and offers Shimano Ultegra components and sound finishing kit. Better known for titanium, Lightspeed are pretty good with carbon too, and the C1 continues Lightspeed's history of aero frame innovation. This model's Ultegra components and Eastern wheels should make it a contender. The Stork Airfast Pro we've had in on test had Ultegra Di2 and DT Swiss RC38C carbon clinchers. You can customise the build online though, so Stork will let you build pretty much any bike you like. The Primo 8.0 sits at the top of British brand Mech's road range. Its frame's packed with aero features, has a deep carbon clincher wheel set, Dura-Race Di2 and Ritchie finishing kit. The Nitrogen Pro was used last year by Bora Argon 18 at the Tour de France. This model makes the top spec frame to Ultegra Di2 and the optional Fulcrum Racing Quattro carbon wheel set. Finally, the brand new Scott foil looks absolutely extraordinary. It's got mechanical Dura-Race, zip wheels and obviously lots of carbon fibre. It promises plenty of aero goodness. It would be fair to say that Felt were one of the first brands to really go after the aero road bike market, and the AR3 continues their good work. The AR3's frame's forward-facing tubes are, as you'd expect, all nicely ovalised for wind-cheating ability. There's a big cutout in the seat post, which means the rear wheel can slot nicely in, and you also get a seat post with a wing-shaped profile, again for aerodynamics, but this is also a reasonably clever seat post with 2 clamps that you can tighten up very, very tightly, up to 8 Newton meters, and it's actually more comfortable than its girth looks. The AR3's rear brake is mounted directly behind the bottom bracket. This does make adjustment a little bit tricky. So Felt's mounted its quick release and its adjuster between the bar and the entry to the top tube. It's an interesting solution, but it didn't quite work for us. The wire stuck out, it banged on our knees, and it's not actually that aero. The AR3's cockpit and handlebar in particular are pretty stiff, almost to the extent that they compromise the otherwise smooth feel of the bike's frame. The good thing about that stiff front end though is it handles brilliantly. All in all, the AR3 is actually a reasonable bargain. It's got all Ultegra, it's got a really nice frame, but we would upgrade those wheels pretty quickly. Our Lightspeed C1 was a medium-large model with a 16cm head tube. The really good thing about that meant there was lots of scope for slamming the stem and getting ourselves into a nice aero tuck. With a minimal frontal area with a nice hourglass head tube, narrow fork legs and a wing-shaped down tube, the C1 has all the aero features you'd expect. The Eastern EA70 wheels that came with the C1 aren't especially aero. They're 22mm wide, 25mm deep. They're brilliant all-rounders, but they're just not aero wheels. It's fair to say that the C1 has a rather talkative frame set, and we didn't always want to hear what it was telling us. It's basically quite firm, so you do get a lot of feedback, particularly on broken road surfaces, and that can also cause a bit of compromise in the handling, so when you're going around a bumpy bend it doesn't feel as sure-footed as perhaps you'd like. But it is fast, it is fun. We're not sure we want to spend more than 2 to 3 hours on it at a time, but that does mean it's got potential as a great race bike. As perhaps you'd expect from Stork, the Airfast Pro's lines are clean and unfussy. It's a very smart looking bike. For an aero bike, we felt the Airfast at first had a surprising amount of front end flex, but as we got used to it, it actually really seemed to add to the smoothness of the bike's ride. The Airfast rear end provides great power transfer, so when you're stomping on the pedals, as we like to say on Cycling Plus, it goes fast. It's not too hard though, so you don't get a lot of road buzz going up into your backside. Pretty comfortable, not bad for an aero bike. It's fast though, it is fast, and it climbs really well. Light wheels and a light frame set. It's a lovely bike. It's really lively, we really enjoyed it. With Dura-Race Di2 and lots of own brand finishing kit, the Satura wheels are actually Mech's house wheel brand. The Primo 8.0 is expensive, but actually offers reasonably decent value for money for an aero bike of this quality. Aerodynamically, the Mech's frame is very narrow. You've got quite a lot of cam-tail profiling, and as with many of the other bikes here, there's a big seat tube cutout into which the rear wheel slots. If you've got any concerns about 50mm deep Satura wheels, you shouldn't have. Even on blustery, soggy days, we found them to be incredibly stable. We did get a bit of brake rub though. As with many other carbon fibre wheels though, braking, pretty good in the dry, but you do need a little bit more forethought when you're braking in the wet. It's a fast bike, it's a comfortable bike, and with Dura-Race Di2 fitted, it's actually really good value too. The Argon 18 Nitrogen Pro has pretty much every aerodynamic base covered. You've got a one-piece aerodynamic bar, super slim frame tubes. The front brake is actually tucked in behind the forks, which is a nice touch. This bike uses Argon 18's own 3D adjustable system. Basically, you can screw different things into the head tube to adjust its length. And a really nice bit on this machine is its stem. That's extendable. Basically, you can add bits, take them away, make it longer, make it shorter to get the perfect position. From the off, the Nitrogen Pro felt like a pro-level bike. It's firm, but it's not too firm. It's very, very responsive. The Fulcrum Racing Quattro carbon wheels are smooth, light, it climbs really efficiently, it handles really, really well. I suppose the one downside is it doesn't brake as brilliantly as perhaps you would hope in wet conditions, but then that's something we can say about a lot of bikes with carbon wheels. As is traditional, we've left the best until last. Our favourite aero road bike in this test was Scott's foil team issue. Scott have made a big effort with the new foil. The original foil, one of the first aero road bikes, was incredibly versatile, but it did have a pretty harsh ride. You wouldn't want to spend hours and hours on it. A complete rethink with the new model, and it's now far more comfortable. The aerodynamic shaping is pretty subtle on the foil. There are cam-tail profiles for all of the main tubes, and you also get a lovely one-piece aerodynamic bar. The foil was actually quite a compact bike, and out on the road we think that makes a difference. We reckon it actually helps it take off like a scalded cat. It is incredibly fast, a hell of a lot of fun. Helping the foil spin up to speed are the Zip 60s. They are the new version of the old pre-Firecrest 404s, and they are still brilliant wheels. Aerodynamic, stable and fast. All in all, we absolutely love the Scott foil. It's comfortable, it's fast, we think it looks pretty sexy too. And that's partly the point of an aero bike. It's supposed to look good. We really, really like it, and that's why it's our winner.